how to love your child, even when they don't listen. The most important thing a parent will ever do is not teach their child to be good. It is to keep loving them on the days when being good feels impossible. For both of them, you love your child. And some days that love is the hardest thing you have ever done. Not because you stopped loving them, because loving someone who won't listen, who pushes every boundary, who seems determined to make the hardest choice every single time, takes a kind of strength that nobody prepares you for. This video is for that parent, the one who is exhausted, who has tried everything, who loves deeply and struggles daily with what that love actually requires. Nobody tells you that parenting will be the greatest test of your character you will ever face. Not because children are difficult, though they are. Because loving unconditionally is difficult. Because choosing patience when you have none left is difficult. Because continuing to show up for someone who cannot yet appreciate what that showing up costs you. That is one of the most demanding things a human being can be asked to do. The Stoics had a great deal to say about this. Not as parents specifically, but as people who understood that the hardest relationships are the ones that demand the most from our character. And faith has always understood that love is not primarily a feeling. It is a decision, made daily, sometimes hourly, often in the moments when the feeling is nowhere to be found. Counterintuitive truth. The child who is hardest to love right now is often the child who needs that love the most. And the parent who keeps choosing love on the hardest days is building something in their child that the easy days never could. Here is what makes this specific struggle so exhausting, and why so many parents feel guilty for finding it hard, when finding it hard is the most honest response possible. What makes it so hard? Name it without shame. The love is not in question, the capacity is. The parent of a difficult child does not love them less. They love them completely. What runs out is not the love, it is the patience, the energy, the emotional capacity to keep responding with grace when every response has been met with resistance. That exhaustion is not failure. It is evidence of how hard you have been trying. The gap between the child you imagined and the child you have. Every parent carries a picture of who their child might be, when the reality is very different from the picture, when the child is struggling, or defiant, or seems to be choosing a path that leads somewhere painful. The gap between the imagined child and the actual one is its own kind of grief, and it is rarely spoken about honestly. The mirror effect. Their struggle reveals yours. Difficult children have a remarkable ability to surface in their parents exactly the things the parents have not yet resolved in themselves. The child's anger triggers the parent's unresolved anger. The child's defiance surfaces the parent's need for control. This is not an accusation, it is an invitation. The most difficult children are sometimes the most powerful teachers their parents will ever have. The long game with no visible results. Loving a difficult child is long game work. The results are not visible daily. The seeds planted in years of consistent love and presence may not show for a decade. The parent doing the work right now, faithfully, exhaustedly, without visible reward, is building something in their child that will only become fully visible long after the hard season has passed. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. But I have seen the beauty of good and the ugliness of evil, and have recognized that the wrongdoer has a nature related to my own. Marcus Aurelius wrote one of the most honest things ever written about loving difficult people. He wrote it about the people he would encounter in his day as emperor, but it applies with perfect precision to parenting. He said, I have seen the beauty of good, and I have recognized that the wrongdoer has a nature related to my own. The child who is difficult, who pushes, defies, refuses, has a nature related to your own. They are not alien. They are yours. And that connection, however tested, is the source of both the difficulty and the love. Begin the morning by saying to yourself, I shall meet with the busybody, the ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, but I have seen that these offenders are of like nature to myself. Seneca wrote about the discipline of patience, not as a passive endurance, but as an active practice. He wrote that the person who masters their response to difficult people masters themselves. For a parent, this is both the hardest and the most important work. Not controlling the child, controlling the response to the child. Not eliminating the difficulty, choosing what the difficulty does to your character and faith, The Christian tradition, specifically, places unconditional love at the center of everything. Not love that is earned, not love that is conditional on behavior, love that continues in spite of behavior. The parable of the prodigal son is not just a story about a lost child. It is a story about a parent who kept watching the road, who ran toward the returning child before the child had even finished their apology, who loved not because the child deserved it, but because that is what love does. While he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son. 3 keys, not parenting tips, not techniques. Principles, the kind that hold when the techniques have run out. 1. Separate the child from the behavior. The behavior is what you are dealing with today. The child is who you are committed to forever. These are not the same thing. The child who is defiant today is not permanently defined by today's defiance. The child who won't listen this week is not the person they will be in 10 years. Seeing the child beneath the behavior, consistently, even when it is difficult, is the most important thing a parent can do. Marcus Aurelius practiced this with the difficult people in his court. He saw past their current behavior to their underlying nature. He engaged with who they were capable of being, not only who they were being right now. A parent who can do this for their child, even on the hardest days, is giving that child something more valuable than any correction. The experience of being seen as more than their worst moment. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Fill your own cup before you try to fill theirs. A parent who is running on empty cannot give what they do not have. The exhaustion that makes patience impossible, that makes love feel like a demand rather than a gift, that makes every interaction feel like a battle. That exhaustion is telling you something important. You need to be replenished, not instead of your child, so that you can actually be present for them. Seneca wrote, "First take care of yourself, then of others." Not as selfishness, as wisdom. The parent who neglects their own mental, physical and spiritual health in the name of their children eventually has nothing left to give. Rest, prayer, honest conversation, time to think. These are not luxuries for a parent. They are the foundation from which good parenting becomes possible. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Trust the long game. The seeds you plant now will grow. The most important parenting work is invisible. It is the consistent presence on the days when the child pushes you away, the love expressed when the child cannot receive it, the boundary held not in anger but in steadiness, the prayer said when nothing else is left. This work produces no immediate visible result, but it is accumulating in the child, in the relationship, in the future that is being built right now in the ordinary difficult days. The prodigal son's father did not chase his son down the road. He let him go and kept watching the horizon. That faithfulness, the long patient watching, was the love that the son returned to. Not the lecture, not the consequences, the love that was still there when he came back. Your child will come back. Keep the light on. While he was still a long way off, his father saw him. To every parent on a hard day, you are not failing because this is difficult. You are doing one of the hardest things a human being can do. Loving someone who cannot yet love you back in the way you need, and doing it anyway, day after day, without guarantee of return. Marcus Aurelius chose patience with difficult people every single morning and wrote about the struggle every single night. Seneca taught that mastering your response to difficulty is the highest form of self-discipline. And the father in the parable watched the road every day without knowing if his son would ever come back. That is what love does. Not because it is easy, because it is love. The child who is hardest to love right now is often the child who needs that love the most. And you, exhausted, frustrated, still here, still trying, are giving them something that no one else on earth can give. Your specific love, your specific presence, your decision to keep choosing them even on the days when choosing them costs everything. Keep loving anyway. The seeds you are planting are growing. You just cannot see them yet. Keep the light on. They will come back. If this video found you on a hard parenting day, share it with a parent who needs to hear it. Subscribe for one video a week. Drop a comment. What has loving a difficult child taught you? I read everyone. See you next week.